Good morning, everybody. DJ Styles, your Custom Corpses. Okay, it's time to pull the clay out of the sculpture. Okay. All right, so how we do this is very simple. I've got a heat gun here. Now the objective is definitely not to melt it to the point where it's liquefied. We don't want to liquefy oh, I must be unplugged. Either that or this. I tripped the circuit breaker on the thing. Hold on. What's going on? No, I think this thing's plugged in. Maybe it isn't. No, I did unplug it. Okay. All right. Works if it's plugged in. All right. So we're just gonna. I got it on high heat. Going to back off a little bit. I'm about a foot away from the entrance, maybe a foot and about 14 inches away. Kind of hard to see from where I'm trying to evenly melt this, soften it, not melt it. I'm trying to soften it. Putting that little let's see what happens now. Let's just see what we can see. The trick is to get underneath of it. Hold on. I might have to get it. Once I get to the skin of the actual mask, I think what I have to do is but I got to be very careful not to scratch the surface of the inside of the mold. But what I need to do is get to the surface so it'll peel off. That's what I'm after. There you go. Whoa. Now, there's some dirt and stuff in this. That's that bead that I put down underneath the neck. When I remelt this clay, I'll get rid of all the little bit of particles of stone inside this, a little bit of powder. That'll all sink to the bottom of the crock pot. It's a little time consuming doing this, trust me. And not everything stands out. Nothing comes out just as easy as the last thing, you know. So sometimes it's a little harder than other times, depending on how small of an area you're working with too. That's another thing. It's the mask is a little bit smaller than what I've had before. You know what? Let me try a different. Let's try a different tool. I'm trying to avoid scratching. So I want you guys to see what I'm doing here. Just got to get to the surface. I got to go easy. Oh wow, this got bent to hell. That's not going to hold up. Too much pressure. Okay. That tool's not an option. I'm just trying to get to the surface of the sculpture. Let's go to the back of the head. Yeah. Just in case I hit that wall. Got to rewarm it again. Let's just warm it right up in here. This is the back of the head. How I know is how wide this is. I can see right where the chin is. So I want to try and work from the back where that seam is. In case I do nick the that's the seam right there. Yes. See, once you get to the stone, yep, that's perfect. Now I just got to keep warming that up. See, it's you see the stone wall there, right? I don't know if you can or not, but just keep pushing. And I don't want this clay to melt onto the stone, because then it's harder to clean off. And now I don't want to use tools. This is a workout on the hands, trust me. Melt it some more. And melt the inside real good. Soften the inside real good, because as I'm peeling this out, I want it softer inside the head. If it's softer inside the head, it'll peel away easier. Just like it's doing. It's chunk of plaster in the clay. I don't want that. Try to remove all plaster as I go. Now what I'll do, as this gets into the way, this is another reason why I waited overnight to do this, because the mold is full of moisture, and when you're warming this up, you could crack the mold very easily. Just be aware of that. All right, now see, this is the chin area right in here, so this is pretty thick. I made sure it was very thick. It's a workout getting it out, but if you do it right, you've got a one-piece mold that will probably make 20, possibly 30 masks. And that's definitely worth the struggle. And the other thing about one-piece molds is you don't lose any latex in one-piece molds. Also, whenever you're pulling the clay out and you try to be, you know what? No, I can't use that bucket. It's got stone all in it. Hold on. Let me grab a little pail or something. No, that's a lot more than a pail. I need a bucket. There we go. Got one over here. Clean bucket. I think. Clean enough. That's a little bit of the purple stuff that for pipe fittings Okay, back to the task at hand here. I also, as I'm cutting, I'm also using this tool to pull some of it too. Now I don't want to pull all my chunks out at one shot, because if I did, well, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. How I have this bent in, I don't want to lose that, so I can keep prying on it and pulling it off the surface of the plaster. If I cut all this back all the way to where it's square against the wall, then I'm back to trying to, all right, that's melting it. We don't want to melt it. Once I have the entire neck completely pulled free, it should start getting a little easier to pull it away from the clay. There we go. Get out of there. Man, it's like one spot that's stuck. There we go. What a workout. Okay. All right, because the sides are going to start melding too much on me, and I don't want any kind of drippage. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out this bent area. Open up the hole a little bit. A little bit at a time. That's how we work this. There's no such thing as getting it out in one shot. I wish there was. But the key is you definitely don't want to melt the clay to the point where it's liquid, because then the surface of your sculpture gets very gummy, and you end up with a lot of cleanup. All right, so yes, it's melding a little bit, but it's dripping to the inside of the mask, which is okay. Just going to make it so it's softer against the wall. Just don't want to put you don't want to liquefy the clay against the wall. Yeah, this is really unstable. I gotta get this surface of the table a little more stable. Hard to push and hold at the same time. I'm gonna regret making that chin so thick. What I could do is pull out some of the soft stuff. Just don't get to the wall, that's all. Don't get to the wall. And what you do is, by making the clay a little thinner on the inside, it will also make it easier to bend. It's hard because there's not enough light inside of this to. I got these lights sitting here and I'm complaining, right? Yeah, this is going to make it easier. Just scooping out. What I'm doing is the wall's so thick on the inside because I wanted to make sure that this was strong to hold the stone. So I'm going to get two hands in at once. That doesn't work, so I have to be clever. Let's see if this is getting any easier with the. By thinning the wall, it makes it so it's easier to pull it up. Pull it down away from the. Yeah, it's bending easier. Not real easy because this is hard monster clay. That's the only thing. If this was medium clay, it'd be a little easier. I might be switching to medium clay soon. Now what I'll do is you know what, I'm a little nervous with that. No. Bend the edges inward. This way, if it starts to melt, it drips to the inside of the mask. Inside of the hole, not on the outside. We don't want any melted clay on the outside. Once I see a drip, that's it. Couple drips on the top of my hand when I was whoa, stay there, sucker. Damn, fighting everything here. I don't want that to fall because on, Jesus Christ. I need something to. Trying to thin out this wall. How do I do this? Use a smaller, no, I got it. There we go. Now we're going to get somewhere. That loop tool was too big trying to get to the good spots. So I'm not trying to get to the surface. I'm only trying to cut down the thickness. I'll cut down the thickness of this thing. Then we'll have a nice, easy time getting the clay away from the wall. I got a lot of noodles sitting in there now. So pulling all that. Still need some work in here. It's still too thick. Pretty crazy, man. We're going to have ourselves a nice pull once I'm done here. I'm just thinning this down quite a bit, so this way when I go to melt this, it's going to get the outer surface is going to get a lot softer because it's not penetrating. It's so thick that the clay is so thick that I have to it's not penetrating enough to make the clay soft on the outside like it should be doing. Okay, back to heating up the clay. Some melted clay hitting my hands here. We don't want melted clay all over our hands because then we'll touch the surface of the neck. I don't want to touch that neck. As we get deeper and deeper into this, the easier it's going to get because it gets rounded. The biggest problem is the chin area. The chin area is a really pain in the butt. Hold on. Like I said, I don't want melted clay hitting my... I just dug out a lot of clay on that one. You know what? I'm going to turn this light on. I hate to block your view for a second there, but I got to get this thing in position so I can see up inside of this. I'm going to position this bad boy back here. There we go. Back behind the camera. Now I can see up inside of there to see what I need to. See what I'm doing? You see them little scratch marks? I'm just troweling into the thickness. And leverage reasons, I'm having an easier time working from the top down, pulling it up. Like when I really want to start tackling this neck, I'm going to have to reposition this thing. If you know what I mean. A lot of clay, man. I put in here about about 6 pounds, maybe a little less. Oop, just hit the stone. Don't want to hit the stone. Don't dig in hard. See, when I felt that hardness, I just instantly stopped pressure. I know, hopefully you guys are seeing some of this. It's hard because I got the camera pushed in a position. And where my chair is, I have to be able to okay, now a touch of softening. And I'm filling that bucket up, so I know I used some clay. Yeah, it's dripping in there, it's liquefying, which is okay, because by the time I get done dropping this on the floor, it's just that the cord's all kinked up over there. Really? This is just not going to happen, is it? I know half the problem is that before this melts on me again, or hardens again, keep working it. Pissing me off now. Clay, you don't want that on the walls, and get it off your hands. Ah, there's an ear. So for digging in, Once I flip this over, it should start getting very easy. Couple spots up here that are really thick still. If it's thick, it's harder to pull. But just remember, don't melt that clay too much. All right. Found the sweet spot for that. Okay, time to flip you over. See, the ear started to come out on this side already. See, I can start to feel the thicker spots that I couldn't reach. Just trying to get that chin to break free. Shoo. Wow, that's so thick I couldn't get through with that loop tool. All right, hold on. Oop. The hell is that? little more heat. That was coming. Oh, damn it, I gotta figure out a way to do this, because that's gonna melt the floor. The gun gets very hot. All because of stupid wires. Ugh. Look at that, chin's coming out. Yay! Now it should get easier. Look at that, big chin, lips, they just came out. We're getting there. Nose is another area. It's a little stickler. But this looks like it's coming out pretty good. There's an ear. Hey, we're getting there. Patience is a virtue. Whoa. Yeah, there's still some clay that I'm going to have to get out of here. Yeah, this is looking good, this thing, man. I'm telling you, this mold looks good. This mold looks good, guys. Getting up into the top of the head now. Right around the scowl area is where I'm working right here. I'm just trying to lower it a little bit. The thinner I can make it on the inside, the easier it'll bend up and pull away from the walls. The back is going to be not fun because the back of this wall has the lettering and stuff in it, so it's embedded into little nooks and crannies. So that's partially a reason why that's harder. Almost time to warm it up again. I think I'm going to dig out a little bit on the head first, on both sides here. Just so it's easier to dig. Oop, damn it. Watch it, man. A little bit of a, oh no, that's not a big right. That scared me. I thought I really gouged that. I'm pulling down. Now we're getting the eye area done really good. Now what you do is once this is almost maybe the heat gun's starting to get really hard. The little tiny crumbs of clay that might be stuck on the inside wall, you just take a little bit of naphtha, clean, fresh, new naphtha, not old naphtha. In other words, you've used the naphtha and it's got clay mixed in with the naphtha. You don't want to brush that onto the wall. You want fresh, new naphtha, and then you just brush it onto those little spots, and that clay will dissolve instantly. We're almost there. See, guys? Come on, stay there now. That's pretty thick, that's why. Unthicken it. Unthicken it. Wow, that was thick. Thick and not real soft. Stop wasting time. Valuable time. Ooh, looks like we got a winner here, man. Check this out. I just popped the whole thing off. I went in from the face. Now I might have to chunk this up to get it out. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Here we go. This is what was holding on really hard. That just goes to show you how much clay was in there. Now, you can see inside there, we got ourselves a pretty nice piece. But I've got to get in there and get all that clay out of there for sure before I come and put any. Can't put any latex in there until the clay is completely out. And I've got some brush work to do, especially on the lettering. There's a lot of stuff on the lettering. And I've got to remelt that clay, clean it, filter it. I'm going to filter it with a screen. You just use a regular screen and that'll filter it out for you. I see a little pit there. Oh man, we got ourselves a nice piece here. I do believe. Okay, so let's, for giggles, I need some clean naphtha, and I do believe I have some over here. Clean enough. I would use a chemical brush. They're cheap. You get them at Harbor Freight. But these are chemical brushes because they don't dissolve, or I wouldn't use and they're a little stiffer. Now I'm not going to disturb this clay that's on the bottom, but this naphtha is pretty clear and clean right here, so. Focused on the stuff that's stuck to the walls. And make sure the ears are clean good. See that? It literally comes right off when you use the naphtha. Any detailed areas, you want to make sure that you go over it with at least once with the naphtha, especially the eyebrows, because you could have a little bit of clay up inside those eyebrows, no doubt. So I'm doing the eyebrows real good. Can't really see them that well inside this, inside it. But I'm working on one side of the face, then the other. And when there's a loose piece of clay on the surface, you just want to grab, just jab it with the thing and then pull it off your. Around this edge rim too is another area that gets a little bit of clay stuck to it. The lettering is getting ready to be done now. I'm just big piece of clay came out of the lettering where I was working. Where'd you go? You were there and you popped out and then you went back in. It's in the lettering. There you are. Just had to go the right direction with it. Like I said, one side then the other. I don't want to get myself all I don't want to have to move this thing a ton. Gotta make sure that these ears are clean though. Make sure the nose ain't got nothing in it. And there was. Thank God I did that. Because the nose will grab right where the nostrils are. If you see that, can you see inside? You see those nostrils? Right behind the nostrils. When you pull that clay out, sometimes the clay gets stuck behind those nostril holes. And we are prepping this. And the lip area, definitely want to hit the lip area. All the details. You want to make sure you wash the details good. In the chin especially, because the chin can cling. It didn't look like I lost any clay when I pulled that out, but I'm going to hit it just for safety. I'm hitting along this rim. Make sure there's no clay in the inside of the neck. Now see, that's why I put that rim of clay underneath the mask, because I wanted a nice clean edge for the latex. When I fill this up and dwell cast it, see, there's a piece of clay right there. Where'd you go? Oh, it's like I knew you disappeared somewhere. Where'd you go? All right. Make sure these letters are good. Work on one side, then the other. Now, the one thing about Ultra Cal 30 is it's very hard, so it's very hard to scratch. But it can be scratched, so you don't want to scratch this. Okay. Nope. Piece of clay right there, right in front of my face. Another one right there. All right, so I'm going to try and get all the loose stuff out. No point in wetting down loose stuff. We don't want that. Right up on that forehead. This here. Now this piece of clay that it dripped right there. So what I want to do is I softened it enough to where I'm gonna, there it goes, pull it right out without scratching the surface. And now the little residue that's left behind, you want to rinse out real good. There's a whole bunch up in the forehead here. The hairline. I almost got it all. Damn. I'm impressed. Oh, I see what happened. Never mind. No, I was wrong. Big piece came off, and I was like, where did that go? Definitely want to make sure you get into the ear real good. This is almost cleaned up, guys, almost. There's still some clay up in here. I know what I need. Hmm. I need the stiff brush. And I have to clean it good, because if I don't, I'm going to have issues with the perfect. Yes. All right, I can do the eyebrow with this too. Yeah, see, the eyebrow's looking pretty good. I think we're done here. Let me get up inside these letters here on this side. Yeah, I can already see a couple spots. See? Pull that off of there. Okay. Looks like we are thoroughly cleaned. And I just want to make sure there's nothing in here. Yeah, I saw that. That can impede the surface. So what happens is little tiny air bubbles can form on the what the heck? Oh, there's a hair from the brush. Looks like there's a little tiny hole right on the forehead. Just looks like where there was an air bubble or something, but that's no big deal, because when you pull the mask out, an innie on the mask is an outie on the surface of the mask. So an innie inside the mold is a protruding piece of rubber that'll be on the mask, and all I have to do is just hit it with a Dremel tool just to polish it off, and you never even know it was there. But it's such a small crumb. It's a very small amount. I don't want to start messing with the inside of this mask or mold. Meaning I don't want to try to All right, time to look at it real good. Oh man, this is gonna produce some really beautiful masks. A little spot up top there. Perfect. Forgot around the eye cuts. Got to get around these eye cuts, especially on the top part down here inside, because clay could be stuck there and you wouldn't even know it. And then when you go to put your latex in, you'll be messed up for sure. Little naphtha will do you. Naphtha dissolves. Yes, see, there was a little piece of clay in there. See that? It's dissolving in my hands as we speak. This naphtha really eats that clay really good. Oh, that's that hole. Okay. All right, we look good. Now I'm going to let this dry a little bit. We're going to let this dry out a little bit more. Yeah, this pulled out really, really good on the whole thing on the edges. So I'm not too concerned about the edges. Let that settle back down. Actually, you know what I'll do? Since it's here, about 12, 14 inches away from the hole. Yes, that dried it nicely. Yeah, I can feel that texture. That's awesome. Yeah, that's clay. I knew it. I knew there was something in there. wrong with that spot right there? What is it? There we go. That's better. Good enough. There was a pimple right underneath the chin, right under here. Wasn't on the face, it was underneath the chin. And even if I have a little bit of scratch marks there, I'm not worried about it because I can take that out with the buffing pad on the but like I said, an innie is okay because you can fix it on the outside of the mask. When the bubble is protruding inside, you got to get that off because that becomes a hole in your mask. And you can't really do anything about that. There's this one little tiny spot. All this did right here is take a little bit of the texture off. That's all it did. So I'm not worried about that. It's so small, the little tiny dimple, that you won't really see it. It's underneath the chin. And we'll see what happens. Faces aren't perfect anyway, so. All right, so I want to yeah, one more time because I got dust on this. A little bit of that dust from there. Okay, we got that out of there. Took a little extra time, but that pimple, that dent or pimple on the inside, in other words, it was protruding out on the inside, which would make it reversed on the mask, and we don't want a hole in the mask. So I took it down just a touch. I think it was an air pocket, an air bubble that might have gotten underneath that chin when I was stoning it. That's what happens. When you stone this, the hardest part is the chin area. And so far from what I see and feel, there's no holes in this. It feels really good. I got it really good. So, but the chin area is the toughest part to get stone up underneath the chin, underneath this area, because gravity, the stone wants to fall off of that. The biggest thing is making sure that there is absolutely no clay showing when you get that first initial coat, the beauty coat. They call that first coat the beauty coat. That captures all the details of your sculpture. And if you don't have that beauty coat, so one more time drying, since I wet it with that brush. Take the powder out, that's all I was trying to do. Then I'm going to grab my bucket of latex and go outside, because I got to put it on the vibrating table. Put it on the vibrating table. Pour the latex into the mold. Will be straight up and down. The neck will be up the top. You fill this up with latex, and then vibrate it for about a half hour to get all the bubbles off the surface of the mask. I made my own little homemade vibrating table. It's on one of my videos. If I didn't video it, I'll show you how I did it. Simple. But I made a vibrating table. It holds this thing in place, and then what you do is you vibrate it for a half hour while the latex is inside of it, so all the bubbles come away from the surface of the mask. Because if you have bubbles there, air bubbles are definitely a disaster in a mask when you pull the mask. So the key that I'm going to do here is once I get this thing outside, I'm going to set it up out back and put the latex out there, and then we should have a really nice first. This one will get foam filled for the 24-inch mask. What I'll do is I'll put latex in this. Let it dwell for about 2-3 hours. All right, pour the latex back out. Then let that drip drain over top of the bucket of latex. And then from there, what we do is we let that cure up a little bit, so it's not, we don't want it to pull away from itself. It starts to pull away from the surface. The latex will start pulling away from the surface of the mold. And just as that starts to happen, then what you do is you foam fill this, and then you foam fill it. Yeah, I'm going to guess probably about maybe 550 grams of variable density foam will fill this, and then from there then we can take that foam filled mask out of there and use that for I'll stone that latex copy and make a 24-inch mask. And I don't think I'm going to wait very long to pull it, because I don't want the mask to completely shrink up to 26 inches. I'm hoping that I can get like 26 and a half inches, and then it'll produce a 24.5-inch mask. So if I don't wait real long on the shrinkage of the latex, I should be able to pull a 26.5-inch mask out of here. But I've been wrong before, so we'll find out soon enough, won't we? All right, guys, see you on the next video, and that's going to be when I start filling this with latex.